Good evening and welcome to another edition of 15 Minutes in the Word. Why? Because 15 minutes, it's enough time to change your life. Listen, last night we started talking about the keys to living a balanced life. And we've used Paul's words in the letter to the church at Corinth, where he's arguing in chapter 9 how he's given up his rights for the sake of the gospel, but not only giving up his rights, the extent he's went to inconvenience himself to make sure that everybody had an opportunity to receive the gospel, and he did so by meeting everybody where they were. We draw from those words that Paul pens is that his ability to live a balanced life when he was around weak people, he did not conform in himself becoming weak, but he got on their level, if I could say that. And then when he's around those who's strong, he stepped up, if you would, to their level. That can be economics, that could be education, whatever the case was. Paul was willing to balance himself out to fit in every one of those areas. And we said, based upon Paul's words, that a balanced life is a life that gives every area its needed attention. And we talked about how the first step into doing that is that you've got to prioritize priority. You've got to prioritize your priorities. You have to determine, out of everything that's important, what's first. Tonight, I want to share with you the next two things that it takes to give this balanced life, or to live this balanced life. Number one, prioritizing your priorities. But number two, you've got to identify your interests. You've got to identify your interests. You see, giving every area its needed attention is going to involve you being honest about the stuff you are interested in and the stuff you're not interested in. The stuff that brings a sense of excitement and fulfillment to you, as well as those things that don't bring excitement and fulfillment. Why is that the case, Bishop? Because a lot of times you'll discover that responsibility that's not interesting, oftentimes responsibility you're not interested in. Oftentimes, and a lot of times, it's responsibility, not all the time, but most times, it's responsibility. And I'm going to bring you right to the text now. It's responsibility that we put on ourselves, not responsibility that was God-given. Paul is arguing that his willing to go to the extent he went, being those who were religious background, talking on their level, to those who were free and understood, talking on the level that they were on. He says, I'm able to do all of that, watch this, because I understand that this is a responsibility I have because of the calling on my life. There are some things you deem are responsible that are really not your responsibility. You just pick that up. And you'll know those things because those things oftentimes are the things that does not interest you. Now you say, well, why did that help with a balanced life? Because if it's not a responsibility that God has given you, if it's not a responsibility that the choices that you've made is demanded of you, then it's a responsibility you definitely know ain't a priority. Oh, I didn't just say something. I'll give it to you again. If the responsibility that you don't find yourself interested in doing, I'm not talking about you don't feel like doing it, because there are things you know you like doing, you're supposed to do, that you don't always feel like doing. But when I say interest, meaning that thing does not make you exciting. That thing doesn't give you any fulfillment. There is no benefit from that. That's not something that is interesting to you because that's not something that's in you. And oftentimes when it's not in you, it's because you chose to pick that up. That wasn't God given. nor in most cases is it a responsibility that life demands you give. A lot of times it's responsibility we think we have to handle that we really don't. Oh, I'm about to make things rough right now. Can I give you an example? You are not responsible to bankroll people who mismanage money. You are not responsible to bankroll people who mismanage money. I didn't say people who needed assistance and help. I didn't say people who, because of circumstances in life, and they are in your world, or God has blessed you with the resources for you not to assist. No, I'm saying people that you know work good jobs. Come on, I know I'm talking to anything but to one person. And before the month ends, they need you to help them make it through the month. Not realizing that the same pressures that come this month gonna come next month. And if you can't manage money, and you keep coming to the person and you are taking that on as your responsibility, and then you put that as a priority, that's not a priority. Why? Because that's not an interest to you. It may be a leech. I hate to say it that way, but that's the best word that comes to mind. But it's not your responsibility. So prioritize what's your priority. Identify what is an interest, what is in you, or what is a part of you, and let that be God-given, and let that be what life demands based on the choices you made. Don't pick up other stuff, because when you pick up stuff that's not your responsibility, watch this, you have now mixed that in with stuff that is, and so already automatically when you've mixed it in, attention's going to go places it don't need to go. Prioritize your priority. Identify your interests. And here's the last one. This is not about quantity. It's about quality. In other words, given every area its needed attention won't always be about the length of time, but it's the quality of time, which means you're going to have to make sure, and you can only do this with the help of the Holy Spirit. This can only happen when this is something that you purposefully pray about. The only way this is going to happen is when you are intentionally engaging, asking the Father to help your life bear this trait of balance, which involves self-discipline, fruit of the Spirit. Every area is going to get its needed attention. For that's to happen, you got to understand that it's going to be quality, not always quantity. Which means that when you are with that person, they get all of you. And that oftentimes becomes a challenge. The challenge oftentimes is that we give the attention, we just don't stay in the moment. Now, I just heard a wife say that, Bishop, and she said that loud so her husband can hear. We can give the attention, but we don't always stay in the moment. And that's why sometimes, brothers, and I'm guilty of it too, with our children and with the people we love, you can spend 4 days and wondering why they tripping. Because the truth of the matter is, you've been in their presence 4 days, but you probably only gave maybe 7 hours where you were actually in the moment. If you're going to live a balanced life, Paul said, I was able to do that. I was able to meet everybody where they were. I gave everybody the attention they needed on the level they were on. You got to prioritize priorities. Identify what's first. And then, last but not least, understand that quality over quantity. Now, I'll give you this last one and I'm gone. The last thing, and I thought I had 3, but the Lord just gave me 1. Paul says, I did all of this that I might win some. Please know you're not going to be able to satisfy everybody. Do your best and ask God help to live balanced. All right, that's my time. Thank you for your time. 15 minutes, because that's enough time to change your life. Peace.